Welcome back to the Davy Brown 990 restoration. For those of you, my name's Barry. Right, today, group 3 adjustments. What we're going to do, because the tractor's never been ran for any length of time with all of the oiling equipment on it, i.e. the valve chest in, pipework all plumbed up, everything. So first of all, we're going to run the engine. We're going to stick our little endoscope in the gearbox, verify that we have got oils coming out of the spray lube arrangement that's in there, and then we're going to get on and do our group 3 adjustments. So, right, let's get next door, set the cameras up, get the endoscope in the gearbox, see if the oil's flowing it. Back in a minute. As you can see, took the cover off here, which is where the third selector shaft should have been if this had the right gearbox in it, but it doesn't. We're going to put our endoscope into here. We're going to look up at the clutch brake mechanism up in here. There's a spray bar that comes up the side and around that sprays oil onto it. We're going to check that spraying. We're going to go into the gearbox this way, and we're going to check the spray bars are working this way into the gearbox as well. That'll then flood the oil system up, because that bypass oil feeds oil backwards into the PTO, backwards into the bottom or behind the piston in the lift cylinder, feeds it through on the right hand side, bleeds it off on the right hand side at the back of the piston, which keeps all your piston and your donkey's dick and everything lubricated in there. It also then pushes oil forward to 2 spray bars that are sitting above your gearbox, dripping oil into your gearbox, and then it comes right forward up to the clutch stop brake system and sprays oil onto there, which is why we couldn't run it for very long the last few times. Although the clutch brake was lubricated, there wasn't any oil getting sprayed onto it, so it literally was sitting with whatever oil was left on it. So now we're going to check, make sure it's got oil. If it's got oil, we can run the tractor engine quite happily for as long as we need to get our group 3s done, can't we? And I need an arm dug out of there, don't I, for the back of the tractor. Right, let's get this fired up. Let's go inside the gearbox. Let's have a look. Okay, pump to run, idling speed. Let's whiz this up. See there, a lovely little golden drop of oil just coming out of the spray bars. Okay, happy with the oil feed. And what else we can do? We'll have a look in the back of here, make sure we've got oil coming out of the back of here. Happy with that. Right, happy with the fact that the oil is now flowing round where it needs to be. First thing we're going to do, we're going to get it reset up so we can go and do that cam plate at the back. First part of the group 3 is the cam plate. Now, to do that, I've got here written instructions from Shane. Okay, Path of Discovery. Go to his website. Go to his YouTube channel. Have a look on his YouTube channel for the way he does the group 3 adjustments. There's a link there to these documents. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, raise the linkage by hand, engage a mechanical lift lock on the left side of the ram shaft. Loosen the cam plate nuts a small amount so the plate can be turned. There's a small notch at the tip of the cam plate. The height control roller must be in this notch when the linkage is fully raised. The cam plate can be turned on a small drift that is inserted into the hole in the rear of the cam face. What I've done is I haven't put a drift in mine, I've knocked a little roll pin in so you can get your thumb on it and push it with your thumb. Right, lock the cam plate in position, 2 nuts. When you feel the roller drops into the notch. Okay, let's get you readjusted here. Let's go down there, let's get set up, let's crack on with this. Right, okay. So I don't know how much we're going to be able to see in here. Hopefully we're going to be able to see something. If not, I'll have to nip in with the phone afterwards and show you what we've been doing. All right. Other than that, we'll just try our best, won't we, guys? Right. So what we need to do, this cam plate, I've got it nipped up, but the cam plate needs to sit as a notch on the end of it. Needs to sit on that roller in there. So first thing we're going to do, we need the arms raised to their fullest position and locked. And then we need to make sure that's not going to bang the camera. So we're going to go in and we're going to loosen those 2 nuts, if I can get into them. And you just see it move back up there under its spring weight, so it's loose. Now, what we need to do is compress the spring till the roller can come down. The little push rods. Now, and then we've got to get, so I'm going to try and compress that with my finger. I'm going to swing the cam plate round till it hits the notch. There. Now we're going to tighten up. Okay, now let's have a look in there, see if we can get in with a phone. Let's convince myself that that is sitting on the end of there. It's hard to tell, isn't it? It is. That's sitting on the end of there. That notch you see there, where's my screwdriver? This notch that you see here, this one, is not the notch. That's where on the cam plate from when I think that roller has been stuck. But that's sitting there. Right, now what we're going to do, we're going to go in there. And we're going to use the open end because it's the only end you can get in with. I'm going to tighten the back one up. Like that. Right. Now, let's release the arms. Make sure everything's working nicely. And we can also see that the roller's rotating while we're doing that. Now, okay, happy with that. Now, Andy did say in the comments last time, he mentioned about my due diligence with grease. Thank you very much, Andy, very much appreciated. And he's right. When we look back at the endoscope footage from in here, the oil comes out the bottom of here, doesn't go anywhere near this lot. And Andy suggested that's potentially why this roller seizes up, because condensation out of your axle in your gearbox comes up into here, settles on all this and causes the corrosion. So what we're going to do, we're going to whack a load of grease into it right now. And in the meantime, I'm just going to fetch you guys out of there for a minute. Right, loads of grease. We're going to give that everything in there. It's absolutely bladdered with grease. Because as Andy says, it doesn't get lubricated any other way. Putting absolutely loads in there. I'd be quite happy to bury the whole thing in grease. There we go. All clagged up. That's a good word for you, clagged, eh? Can't beat it. Bit of clag on it. So now when that starts to operate, the grease here will work its way down through all the bits and pieces. Okay. Right. Let's get swapped around. Set up for stage 2, which is the lift at the front, the connecting rod adjustment. We're going to get our arms to lift. Okay, let's get shut of the grease and we'll come back. First stage done, cam plate on, set. Next thing we'll do is adjust the lock nut on the front of the control rod or the connecting rod from the quadrant going backwards. Instructions read as follows. Lower the linkage, start again. Lower the linkage fully down, then fit the nylock adjusting nut to the connecting rod. It's already on, okay? Ensure TCU mode is selected. That involves pulling the lever right back against the spring, turning it to the right, TCU mode, okay? Okay. Tighten the lock nut until it is flush with the end of the rod. Mine already is because we did that when I did the installation, but we'll check it all just to make sure. Now, you loosen the return spring carrier, which is in the quadrant, and I'll point it out to you in a minute. So you loosen the return spring carrier and you move it as far back as it can go. Start the tractor, tighten the So, loosen the spring carrier nut and move the return spring carrier fully back in the slot. Pull the control lever fully back in the quadrant and push the lever 10mm forward of its rearmost position and keep the lever in this position. What I've done is I've pulled mine right back against the spring, measured up 10mm, putting a bit of copper wire on from the handle back to the selector to keep it in that position, so it's locked in that position. Again, we'll go through this in a second. Start the tractor, tighten the nylock adjusting nut until the linkage starts to rise. Let the linkage rise to its top position and listen for the pump relief valve opening. Fine adjust the nylock adjusting nut so the pump relief just opens when the lever is in this position of 10 mil. Okay, right, so this nut is your spring carrier. So we've loosened that right off. We've brought it as far back as we can get it. We've pulled the lever back on the spring. We have marked 10 millimeters to allow the handle to go forward, and we've wired it into that position with a bit of wire around our selector. Our selector is in TCU. What we need to do now, start the engine, and we tighten the lock nut. What we got to do now, start the engine, tighten the lock nut until those arms just begin to rise. We then let it rise to its fullest position till we hear the pump relief valve open, and it should start squealing. Right, let's get the tractor started. It might get a bit noisy. We'll get the tractor started. Let's get on. Right, we're going to tighten this nut in, and it just starts to rise. Quick little something I forgot to mention. Behind the three-way valve is a bleed nipple, or what looks like a brake bleed nipple. But it isn't really a brake bleed nipple, it's the bleed nipple for the lift cylinder. And I had mine open. So consequently, when I started to lift, I bled the system. But there was nobody there to close it. So I've got a little bit of an oil spillage on the other side. But never mind, we've caught up with that now. Let's get back on with this. Let's get this sorted out. I'll show you that bleed nipple in a second. But let's get back on with this. Let's get this sorted out, eh? Back in a minute. Right, so we're going to start my tractor again. The pump there. Okay, so now that's done, let's plug the tractor off. Right, I'm not sure if you guys could hear that for the noise. Not sure if you guys could hear that for the noise, but I could hear when the engine note on the tractor changed, right? And that signifies the pump coming up to pressure and getting force. So the tractor's forcing the valve to open. So I'm happy with that now. So what else we've got to do? So fine adjusted that. Okay, now the return spring. We need to uncouple that handle, push the return spring forward in the slot until the relief valve closes and the winding note stops. Right. Okay. Right, happy with all that now. Next one, friction disc I'm happy with, but you can adjust the friction disc here on these two nuts by turning the outer one out a little bit to give it a bit of freedom, tightening on the inner one, and then lock the two together, which gives you a set friction on your handle. All right, now remote depth. No, the depth control function now. I need to put a rod on through here, lift arm through here, so I can put some weight on the back of this tractor. And then I need also to do something else. So I'm going to switch you guys off for a minute, get this set up here. The next bit, put a link arm on. What I've got to do now, that pulls it out, so that's off there. Okay, remove the top link if fitted. Raise the linkage to its full height. It already is. Select depth control fully left. So we're going to pull the lever right back, fully left, let go of the lever. Make sure everything's good and happy in there. Select depth control. Stop the tractor. Stand on your lower links. Lengthen the outer cable to the point where the arm just begins to drop. Then you shorten the cable 5 1/4 turns for this tractor. So let's get this popped into here. Whoa, got it. That's what we're doing, yes, we're doing this, won't we? So I'm going to screw this in till I can get the nipple into this little lever arm here. And we'll just make sure that everything is tight. Probably have to come in all the way with this. And then it'll be, look for leaks, wouldn't it? Because there's got to be some, surely to God. I can see there's one here. Okay, so let's just make sure everything seems to be seated correctly. Sit on the link and we take this out till this arm begins to drop. at which point we can then take it back in 5 1/4 turns, wasn't it? Screw this out till we get this just to release. There, it's just gone there. It is just very slowly starting to release there. Okay, now, what does our booklet say? What does Shane tell you? 5 1/4 turns. Okay, so now we're going to mark the top of here. And what we need to do is come back this way 5 1/4 turns. One. Two. 3, 4, 5, right, 5 from there to there is 1/4. Now we'll run one lock nut up and tighten our lock nut up. Hiding, there, as Lance would say, stop looking, I've got it. 7/16 1/2 inch these are. So I've got to go there. That's back into 5 1/4 turns. Now we'll just run our lock nut up. Tighten this up. I haven't yet tightened this top link on. I'll get around to it someday, won't I? I'll get around to it someday. There we go. Right. Oh, that was a good shot. All you got there was me back, wasn't it? Good shot of me back during that whole sequence of tightening that up, wasn't it? So we're going to have to rely on this now. Right. That's it. What I need to do now, I need to get my covers back on. Let's put that into middle position first of all. Right, I've come back in here out of the sunshine. Sounds daft, but again, it's like harsh sunshine out there today. That's it for today. That's what height, what group 3 adjustments done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the covers back on, box everything up, wipe down. Oh, I'll tell you what I forgot to show you. That grease nipple, didn't I? For those of you with three-way valves on, that in there is your bleed nipple for the lift cylinder. Right, that shows you that. Anyway, now, as I say, that's why group 3 adjustment's done. It lifts, it blows the valve, it lowers at the correct point. I'll put the covers back on, give it a wipe down, put it back in the garage, look for oil leaks, see if we've got any oil leaks on it. If we have, we'll deal with them. If we haven't, then we'll move on to the next job. And the next job will be, for that, get the seat back on. This is the original seat bracket. The original seat is gone because it was so badly corroded, it was not worth keeping. I have got a replacement seat, but it's not the original, and the bracket for it is supposed to sit flat under the seat. Well, as you see, that one cannot. So I'm going to make a couple of offsets, a couple of stand-ups, temporary, to get away with that, so we can get the seat put onto it. As I say, that's it for today. I must shoot. I would like to spend more time up here today, but I can't. It's Debbie's 64th birthday, and I need to go home and spend some time with her. Right, guys, thanks very much for joining us. As always, your time is greatly appreciated when you come visit and see what we're up to, tinkering on in my little garage like this. But remember, don't overthink it. It's only nuts and bolts. Catch you in the next one. Ta-da.